right, so welcome back. My name is Dalton Daughtry, and it's good to have you guys joining me for the second episode of the Side Hustle. So today we have a very special guest coming from all the way up in Virginia. He's a fellow SaaS salesman or former salesman, now in management and leadership. But I don't want to go too far into Jack's story, but I reached out to Jack personally because I've seen some of his content on LinkedIn and I followed him for a while, and I admire one, his mindset, and then two, his heart set, and then also have noticed that he's been working on some side projects, and I was really excited about them. One, because they could help me, and then two, just because there's a need for that in the market. And so I'm excited to kind of dive into Jack's story and, hopefully whatever he shares or whatever he's been working on can help somebody that's tuning in today. So Jack, if you don't mind, man, just kick us off with just sharing a little bit of your story. You don't have to go too far into, your side hustle yet. We definitely want to get there, but I want to hear, what made you you, and maybe just a little bit more of what your resume looks like to this day.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I love the community you're building here. I think the side hustle is it's super relevant today. I think there's a lot of side hustles going on. So being able to share a little bit, and then in the future hear about other leaders and people in sales just doing their thing, I think it's super exciting. So thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. So I'm Jack. I am currently a BDR manager at Clearbit. And at Clearbit, I manage a team of 9 reps all across the US. They're awesome. They're straight savages. They do good work. They're great people. So super blessed to be on that team. But I actually come from a non-sales background. So in college, I was doing a landscaping business during the summer because I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But growing up, my mom and dad would always have me in the yard with them, trimming bushes, mulching, and I just liked it. So during college, I needed some money, needed to get the hustle on. So started to reach out to some neighbors and got on a platform called nextdoor.com. If y'all know what Nextdoor is, it's like Facebook, but even more so for moms. And all the moms are on there looking for projects, looking for help. So yeah, I found a cool little market in my neighborhood to go do some landscaping work. And that's kind of when I realized I like to manage my own business. I like to do my own thing, but I was still in school. So through school, I studied healthcare administration. Don't really know why, other than my wife did it, and I wanted to be in class with her. Now there is like a service side to that, right? It's the healthcare side of business, which I'm inspired by. I love serving and helping people, but yeah, I think I just want to be in class with my wife. So leaving college,
that's good enough, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And leaving college, I had this degree I didn't really know what to do with. With that degree, you can go be like a CEO of a hospital or go work on stuff like that. Wasn't really super inspired by any of it. Had a friend's dad who was a VP of sales at a great company called Elastic. They're a software search company. Reach out, and he said, "Hey, you're not really sure what you want to do with your life yet. You're an athlete, you're driven. I think you would crush sales." I did not want to do sales, and I did not want the quota, didn't want the pressure, but he sold me into it, of course, VP of sales. And started as an SDR at Elastic and loved it.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. So when just to kind of get the time frame here, when did you start as an SDR at Elastic?
Yeah, so graduated December 2019 from JMU, James Madison University.
Okay.
And it was that January when I rolled into Elastic. So I believe my start date was January 20th, if I remember correctly. And this was 2020. So this was about 2.5, almost 2.75 years ago. So right out of college, basically.
Okay, gotcha. And then now you manage a team of SDRs across the country, right?
That's right. Yep. So at Elastic, I worked with some great people, had some great opportunities to serve in a semi-team lead role. And our manager had actually left to go join another startup. And in that vacancy, they needed someone to keep the managerial side of the house rolling. And they're like, "Jack, would you be willing to do this?" I jumped on the opportunity because at that point in my career, about 9 months into the SDR role, I had a lot of fun being an individual contributor, being responsible for my own bag per se. But even more fun for me was leading a team, right? Like watching my teammates crush it too. So that's when I felt like management might be where my heart was being led a bit. And once I got that opportunity to be an interim manager, it just confirmed like this is what I want to do. So did that for about 3 months and then moved over to follow my boss to the startup that he went to. Ed tech company was really fun, great team, hard workers out there. Ed tech is really hard to sell to, and my reps just had grit. Like they were awesome. And then Clearbit reached out with a great opportunity, and that's where I am today.
Okay, very cool, man. Yeah, we actually very grateful for what you guys do. We actually use Clearbit services. And we have a $12 billion company that's soon to be $100 billion company, and yeah, we use Clearbit. We love it. We're thankful for it. So, very cool, man. So, tell me about the side hustle, and what first of all, what inspired you to do something on your own, and to do something in addition to managing and leading a team. Obviously, you're a married man, so leading a family, leading a team. I know you're involved in your community. So, what inspired you to do something above and beyond all that to start a business? And tell us a little bit about it.
I don't know. I guess I don't like sleeping is a possible answer. No, I think life is so precious. Like we only get one life, and so I think any opportunity that opens up for you, you have to go for. So this was an opportunity that fell in my lap. Essentially, I run a platform called Callblitz, and basically it's Zoom for cold calling. So when I was at my first SDR role, I was making cold calls in an office with a team around me. That's fun. I mean, cold calling sucks. Whatever you say about it, it's not a fun job. But when you've got your team by you, when it's funny, when there's wins to celebrate, it's a good time. So I grew up cold calling in that environment, being in person. Then the whole COVID thing happened. Then I started managing a remote team, and we were ripping cold calls to education. And it was just not fun. I mean, my reps were typically younger in tenure, newer in role, and they're all at home in their apartment during COVID getting hung up on all day. So we tried to combat that a little bit by jumping on Zoom together. Like, hey, you make a dial, then I'll make a dial. Super inefficient. If you've ever tried it, there's too many buttons to manage. And it was kind of in that moment when I realized, like, why don't we have Zoom for cold calling? And that's how the idea of Callblitz was born. So that night, took out a piece of paper, started drawing what I thought it might look like. And about 9 months later, I finally met my co-founder, Marcus, and he's the technical guy. He's a genius. And ever since, we've been building it, and we have got some teams on it now. So it's been.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I started a book yesterday called "You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar," and it's an old David Sandler book, and I've not read any of his stuff, but it was recommended to me. And so I'm reading this book. I started it this morning and got about an hour into it, and one of the things that he's talking about was, like, he said when he first started, he got into sales, and he was selling some, I think it was some Napoleon Hill, or who's the other guy that predated Hill? The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale. So he's selling an Earl Nightingale course, right? And it's his first sales job. Lost his corporate thing, the country club membership, the cars, all that gone, just in a snap. Lost his job, lost it. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to go into sales. And he sells this course, learns sales, and then ends up, getting his distributorship and becomes a business owner and stuff. But he's talking about, like, cold calling, specifically what you're talking about. And he says, like, alone, it was just terrible, like, doing it on his own, calling on businesses and stuff. And so he said what he learned to do and what created his success was he would call on a business and say, hey, he's selling a sales course. Like, I'm going to come teach you guys how to sell. And so he would go to this business and he would, get in front of all these reps and actually cold call in front of the reps. And he said the pressure of everybody there like watching him, he said it actually brought out the best in him. He said things on the phone he never would have said before. He was more courageous in front of his peers than he ever imagined he could be. And he said because of that technique, he would book some meetings, and then obviously he'd go to the meetings and do the meeting, and in the meeting he'd cold call the next clients. And it's just really interesting. I was reading that this morning, and it sounds like you've created like the modern technological version of that for anybody.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think, what is this saying? Pressure makes diamonds, right? And the way I see it, sales is a team sport. If you try to go learn sales development on your own, good luck. Like, there's way too much advice on LinkedIn. There's way too many things that can go wrong. There's not enough feedback. You have to have a team around you. Cold calling, especially, because if you're doing emails or something like that, you actually have a lot more time to react and think about your approach or response. Cold calling is as direct as it gets. I mean, you're live, you're in action. So I grew up playing football. And the way I think about it is coaching, you need pre-game coaching, you need post-game coaching, you need to watch game film, you need to assess, analyze. But what about when you're on the actual field? Where's your coach to say, hey, I think we missed an opportunity there. Hey, if you shot that gap there, then that running back wouldn't have gotten through. So the way I see Callblitz is we're bringing real-time coaching to a virtual sales floor. Doesn't matter where you are. You can call with anyone at any time. Yeah, I really believe sales is a team sport. At the end of the day, the best coaching you're going to get is when you're on the field. Preparation matters, post-game matters, but the real push come to shove moment is when you're on the field, when you're on the phone, you just got hung up on, you screwed your opener up. But if you have a team there, if you have a coach there to say, hey, not a problem, here's what we can do next call, we got your back, go rip another dial. That experience is wildly different than being home alone in your apartment trying to make cold calls.
Okay, that's my next question. So is the future of sales and SaaS and tech and business, is it going to keep going down this path of remote and hybrid workforces, or do you see it steering back to in person?
It's a great question. I think we're going to see a little bit of a rebound because I think people are a little burnt out after the whole COVID era, right? We were all forced into our homes, forced onto the computer. So you see these events starting to get back together, like SaaStr was just last week, and you hear a lot of positive feedback. Like, I haven't seen another human being in years or whatever. So I think people are enjoying that again. But the reality is, long term, it'll absolutely be virtual. It'll stay virtual. Depends on your industry, depends on who you're selling to, the market. But in general, I think the majority of sales will be remote. And if we want to get real crazy, we can talk about like metaverse and what that's going to do when you can actually be holographically sitting with your team while you're at home, stuff like that. That will be in our future. You and I will be talking in 30 years and I'll be like, yeah, we're here. We're sitting virtually next to each other. However, I think sales for a long time will still continue over laptops.
Gotcha. That's super interesting, man. The whole metaverse and
It's
bro, I believe it though. I really do believe that that's the future.
If you think about our parents, I mean, my parents just got black and white TV and then color TV. And now you look at where we are today, they would have never thought we'd be able to do the stuff we can do today at their age. So I'm trying to keep that mindset of, I think it's Moore's law, where technology storage grows exponentially, but it's kind of a parallel to technology where it grows at an exponential rate. It's not a linear rate, it's exponential. So by the time we're our parents' age, it's going to be wildly different. So we have to be ready to expect that, honestly.
I gotcha. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Ooh, both. In general, I think we're slaves to technology. And, I know I struggle with this in my life. I've seen real world impact of people being enslaved to technology. And I think it's because we live in a gratification culture. I think it's because we live in a instant access, instant demand. You have to be caught up on everything at all times. And we're just chained to our phone. So as technology grows, will life get easier? Yes. Will we become more efficient? Yes. Is it good for us as humans? I don't know. I think there's going to be diminishing returns there.
That's interesting. I probably could argue both sides, and because you gave me one side, I'll argue the other, just so we have both perspectives on recording. Yeah, no, I totally get that people are enslaved, bro. In fact, like I have to set limits for myself on literally all my social medias, to time me out and to lock me out, or else, like unknowingly, like a heroin addict or something, I'll just sit there and scroll
Yes, we're
until,
all guilty of the scroll.
bro, like, yeah, until like all the dopamine's left my body and I'm just depressed and still scrolling, and I'm like, and so, but two, to argue the other point, in the future, like, like you and I without technology would have never got to meet, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so, because we're both a little bit more hyperactive than probably some on social media. I'm on LinkedIn. There are benefits too, and I know you know that, right?
100%. Totally agree. I think, especially when it comes to economics, when it comes to medical care, I think people are going to generally be more taken care of, which is a massive benefit to society, to humanity. So I think on a personal level, I know I'm going to struggle when, for example, you can enter a video game. That will be the future where you're in a video game. We're going to have a big struggle in the future about like reality and virtual reality. But I do see a ton of the positives as well.
Man, with so many people still plugged into the matrix too, we don't need more people going into virtual reality.
That's right.
No, it's good, man. Well, so I wanna kind of uncover a little bit just about your mindset behind creating Callblitz, and it sounds like it's been a work in progress. And so, I know for most folks, they're balancing career, family, communal obligations, and so, I'm curious. One, what are your aspirations for Callblitz? Two, and maybe you can kind of wrap this all into one answer, because their questions are all kind of in a line. But aspirations for Callblitz. Two, mindset when approaching, building something on the side, right? Mindset when it, like, maybe talk about balance or prioritization or those things. And then the third thing would just be, if just, I don't want to say if, I'm not going to go down the road. When your business succeeds, I'm not going to give it an option. When it succeeds at a massive level, like, what do you hope the impact to be?
Hmm. That's part of the mindset. So the mindset. It can't be if, it's when. However, reality says if, data says if, right? Statistics say probably not. But I love that you've already got that mindset in there. There's no option. It's going to succeed. The long-term vision for Callblitz, the main mission is I don't want anyone to have to dial alone. And knowing that we're going to be remote, knowing that this is the future, I remember being the sales rep that came right out of college, having to make cold calls, how hard that was with other people with me physically. And to see my reps have to do that remotely broke my heart, honestly. Like, my manager heart was crushed. I was like, no, we can't do this. It's not acceptable. So the long-term vision on a impact level is I want reps to know that they're supported and that they have a community. And the community piece is what I'm really excited about. So I don't know if any of you out there are gamers, but I grew up playing Call of Duty, Halo, matchmaking, where I could go play with anyone from any part in the world at any time. I want cold calling to be that. I want us to be able to go into a lobby to filter for a certain geo. We're calling a certain persona, and then you can see hundreds of other reps out there that are doing the same thing. You can go call with them, and to have kind of this community, to make it fun, to gamify it to where cold calling doesn't have to suck because you're not alone. And there's kind of this game going on with it where you can, get different awards and grow your characters, stuff like that. So I've got some crazy ideas. Most of them are probably bad, but that's why I've got my co-founder Marcus to keep me in check. On a mindset level, I like to refer to myself when asked these kinds of questions as simple Jack, because I think you have to keep it simple. And my motto for myself is KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And the reality there is that we're pulled in so many directions in life. It's hard to actually stay focused on like four things at once. So what I do continually in my life is I'll take these reflective periods, maybe once a month. I'll sit down, I'll write down everything that I'm currently involved in my life. Like, where do I spend my time? I'll look at that list and I'll say, are these the things I want to be doing? Perfect example. I used to struggle with watching YouTube till like 1 a.m. And it was fun because I got to turn my brain off and I got to watch, mindless stuff. But I would wake up every morning tired. And I just realized, like, I don't need to be doing this. Let me go replace that behavior for something more impactful, more meaningful to me. So I think 4 quarters is better than 100 pennies. And my quarters are working out, spending time with my wife. Obviously, business is probably 50 cents to be real. And then, I think faith and community service is massive there as well. So from a mindset perspective, if you're someone out there with a side hustle, just keep it simple. Figure out, like, where do you want to be when all of this happens for you? Who do you want to be? What impact do you want to leave? If the things in your life aren't contributing to that, maybe it's the midnight Instagram scroll, maybe, you're spending time where you shouldn't be, just cut it out. Have that discipline to say, no, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to let this happen to myself. I'm cutting it out. So I think simplicity is big to me from a mindset perspective. And I know you had one more question, but I'll pause there.
Yeah, no, that's if I did, I don't even remember what it was. No, that's so good, man. I'm curious too, like with the YouTube thing or just with any bad habit per se, how did you personally, eliminate the bad habit, right? Was it of your own free will, or was it, accountability or whatever it was? Like how'd you overcome that?
So at 19 years old, I was a double college dropout, drug addict in a jail cell. 19 years old. So addiction, I struggled with addiction for 5 years, all kinds of things, just anything that would give me a high, give me feeling, give me some form of satisfaction. So addiction, I'm very familiar with addiction. I have different addiction that runs through my family in different ways. Very familiar with it, and I think it's it's a it's multiple factors that play into it. But at the end of the day, you have to realize your value, your created value. If you don't realize how valuable you are, you're not going to live a life that honors that value. And for me, I did not value myself at all. And through certain experiences I had with faith and basically God telling me, like, Jack, I created you for a purpose. You're meant to go impact lives and change lives. That piece changed my heart towards how I was spending my life, what I was doing. And so for me, that wake up call, like, wait, I'm created for more than what I'm doing. That helped me a ton internally. Now, externally, there's a lot of science involved with addiction. It's all, you said it earlier, dopamine. It's all serotonin. It's all your brain learning how to make different connections. So when you're trying to break a habit, find something that you actually enjoy doing to replace that behavior. And even if you don't enjoy it at first, for example, if you're addicted to video games, I definitely was at one point. I would start to go play basketball with my friends, and it was fun. And I like basketball with friends, but it didn't hit as well as video games did. But I just kept doing it, and I stopped video games. There's an element of discipline. Cold turkey is a real approach if you can do it safely. Like, there's medical considerations there, but you just have to decide, like, you know what, I was created for more than this. I'm not going to fall victim to anything, and I'm going to approach this with intellect to understand my brain has to rewire connections and replace those undesired behaviors with desired ones.
No, that's really good. Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that too, man. It's real. What's your most favorite routine, or like what's a routine that's essential to Jack Knight's success?
It's a great question. So for the past 6 months, I was waking up at 5 a.m. and I heard this talk by Jocko Willink. If you don't know Jocko Willink, you need to go look him up. He's got, in my opinion, the best leadership information that there is out there. And he's all about discipline. And I listened to this thing about, he was saying, if you wake up at 4:30, you're going to be that much more productive. And so I was already waking up at 5. I thought I was already checking the box of like, I'm super productive. I'm a high performer. Anyway, for the past month, I've been waking up at 4:30. I'm so much more energized and I have so much more time to do more stuff and be more productive. So my routine is I wake up at 4:30 every morning. Some of my friends ask me, how do you not piss your wife off doing that? I have this little watch that will shock me. It's a light shock. It's nothing crazy, but it silently shocks me at 4:30 a.m.
Wow.
And I wake up and next to my bed, I keep a caffeine pill and I pop the caffeine pill right away and I chug water and then I'm good to go. So that's like, those are my little hacks to get me out of bed. Because trust me, I don't want to get out of bed at 4:30 in the morning. But at the point you're getting shocked and you have caffeine being shoved down your throat, you can't really do much to fight that.
I mean, other than those being like two of my favorite things, caffeine and being shocked slightly while I'm sleeping. What time do you start work during the day?
So 4:30, I wake up. I will go do some prayer time. And then I drink pre-workout, which takes about 20, 30 minutes to kick in. So I get like 20, 30 minutes of kind of that quiet time in the morning to get my mind right for the day. Then I'll go hit the gym. Usually takes about an hour. I've got a little gym in my garage I threw together. It's a lot of fun. Lifting is like when I do have time for a hobby, it's for sure lifting. And so I'll get an hour lift in, come upstairs, shower, and I'm on the computer usually around 5:30, 5:45, which is perfect because my co-founder, Marcus, he lives in Estonia actually. So his time zone, he's 7 hours ahead. So 5:30 for me is, I'm not going to do the math right, but it's like 12, I think, ish for him. And we're able to get a lot of work done before my real work day starts.
Wow, that's awesome. It's so funny you mentioned that. So let me show you something real quick. So on my phone, for a long time, I wish I could just take you to my kitchen because I'd show you. I have a calendar that I'll share two things with you. One, I bought an actual paper calendar. They still exist, which by the way blows my mind, right?
Awesome.
But I bought this like big, 1 foot by 1 foot paper calendar. I put it on my wall, and then if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see it every morning. I'll go check if I for a long time I would find myself getting this good routine of waking up early, and then I'd go back to bed. Or I'd talk myself out of it, and I'd ruin my momentum. And so I've been, every day I have this big calendar on my wall, and I put a big green check on the day that if I woke up and I stayed accountable to actually getting up when I said I was going to get up and maintaining my morning routine, I put a big green check. And so far in September, I have 2 red X's. But if I finish the month with only 2 red X's, then that's not bad. And then next month, if I only have 1.
Yeah, that's something to celebrate. Absolutely.
But it's funny you mentioned the 4:30 and the Jocko thing. So I've for a while I got into the 5 a.m. right. Wake up at 5 a.m. That's when hustlers and successful entrepreneurs and all these people wake up 5 a.m. And I did that for a long time. And then I started to see, Jocko and these other guys that are waking up earlier. And I'm like, how the heck does somebody find the time to sleep?
Yeah.
Right. Like, cause I'm naturally, I like to be up late and I like to get up early. And so I'm like, okay, when do they sleep? And so I've been training myself back, setting my alarm. I use the sleep schedule app in iPhone. So every day it just goes off at the same time. I never have to change it, never have to set it. And so I've slowly been moving it back. And this morning actually was the first morning that I moved it back to 4:30.
Oh, welcome to the club. That's huge. That's amazing.
And what's cool too is generally during the day, I'll carve out 30 minutes and I'll take a power nap. And it's been like super healthy and I love it. But today I woke up at 4:30 earlier than I generally wake. Usually it's like 4:45 has been like, that was the time before for the past like 30 days. And before that was 5. And, but the 4:30 I woke up today and I I didn't even notice that. I didn't even take a nap. I was telling my wife this afternoon, I've been pretty much going at it. I haven't stopped since 4:30. I haven't taken 15 minutes and just sat and done nothing. And I feel really good.
What's impressive, two things impress me about that. One is today's Friday, end of week. So any of that, Monday energy you come in with, all of that's gone by Friday. And you're sitting here 5:30 on a Friday feeling juiced. So I love it. There's something about 4:30. The other thing that is key, no one told you to go do this. And I think that is the mindset that you have to have if you want to be successful. And I don't mean just in a material sense. I mean in life. To succeed, you have to recognize that you are the only person that can and will hold you back. And so the fact that you took your own initiative to go get that calendar, to check the boxes, to train your sleep schedule back, those are the kinds of behaviors. No one's going to do this thing for you. You have to be the one stepping up every day saying, I'm doing this because this matters to me and me alone. So I'm pumped up, man. I love it. Welcome to the 4:30 Club.
It's good to be here. So is Callblitz VC backed?
No, so we are going bootstrapped. Again, I can't stop saying enough good things about Marcus. It took me 9 months to find a technical partner. And when I was going through that process, I interviewed about 20 people. All of them had really cool things to say about, their resume and the platform and what they think they could do. Marcus was the only one 2 days after I talked to him to come back with a working MVP. And it was that moment I was like, this is the kind of guy I want to work for. He's a doer. He's not a talker. He's just going to get stuff done. So ever since, we just realized like we can do this thing. Zoom, we run right off of Zoom. Zoom has an open SDK. He knows how to do all that wild stuff I don't know a thing about. But we're bootstrapping this thing. And another reason is I want to be in control of where we go. Right? As soon as you bring in fundraising, you bring in money, you have a board that you're liable to. They kind of get to influence that direction, influence decisions. And I just want to be free to support the cold calling community. However, I think we as a community see fit. I don't need that outside influence. I think we can do this as a community and make cold calling fun.
Man, I love it. I love it. No, it's good, man. This is the classic beginnings for whoever's watching this. And, I hope it's more than just my mother. But at this point, hey, Mom, thanks for joining us and making it this far. But for whoever's listening, this is like what you're sharing, Jack, is like the classic technology startup story where there's a guy with a dream, right? And he finds the technical guy that's just got the gusto to make it happen. They lock arms and then they build something massive that changes a lot of people's lives. And so, dude, I'm super encouraged to hear that. And it sounds like you got yourself a good partner.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know a thing about sales, or at least I didn't 3 years ago when I jumped in, right? I'm not special, not, this crazy guy that I guess crazy for waking up at 4:30 with a shot collar on. But aside from that, I'm nothing special. Like I just show up, work hard, and I've been very blessed in my life. Again, at 19 years old, my life looked wildly different. I do not deserve any opportunity that's been given to me. Connections that we've made have been total blessings. We have two advisors. They're both super high caliber in their respective industries, and one of them is in the sales industry. And those connections just happened through conversation, through meeting people. So I can't take credit for anything other than waking up at 4:30 and giving the day my all. Marcus and team have been awesome. So
that's cool, man. Well, very good. Well, I think we're about at time, but I'm curious, anything else? Like, so let's say I'm listening and I've got a side hustle, or I'm thinking about starting a side hustle, or maybe it's just I'm wanting, maybe I don't have an idea, right, of this this online universe connecting all these sales professionals. Maybe I don't have that good of an idea, because that's a brilliant idea, by the way. I'm actually like how did nobody think of it? Like, this is so good. But I'm curious, like, what would you recommend for the person that's, maybe wants to be where you're at? Maybe just some practical steps or practical action items that they could take to, maybe learn some of the disciplines or learn some of the mindset or do something on their own, or kind of just put themselves, headed in the right direction to where they can achieve some of what you've achieved.
There's a phrase out there called carry the cheese, and I believe there's even a book about it. And the whole premise is everyone knows the David and Goliath story. David slays Goliath, and he's this big hailed hero. The only reason David was at the battlefield Goliath was at, he was actually a food runner for the troops of Israel. And so he was there bringing them refreshments, bringing them food. He was carrying cheese. And that is how he ended up slaying Goliath. So carry the cheese is this saying that basically means show up in the little things. Whatever you are doing right now, if you don't have that big idea yet, are you showing up for your family? Are you showing up for your health? Are you showing up for your work, whatever you are doing today? Show up for those things. Knock those things out of the park. Carry the cheese every day, and that door will open for you. So I'm out here carrying the cheese. I stumbled into, I think, what's going to be a lot of fun, a great idea. But if you're out there, carry the cheese, and don't carry it alone. You have a whole community that Dalton's putting together here. There's a lot of other great communities out there of people that are like you. They want to get after it. They want to go find that thing and take control of their life. You've got the heart, you've got the mindset. Just keep carrying the cheese, and that opportunity will come.
Man, I love it. Well, with that, Jack, I'm going to wrap it up. So, hey, thanks for tuning in to the Side Hustle. Very honored to have Jack Knight here on board with us, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to get him back in. Yeah, again, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and shoot me a comment, shoot us a message, and thanks for tuning into the Side Hustle. Have a great rest of your day.